Earlier this year, the company Denuvo put out this anti-emulation fear-mongering propaganda in the form of a PDF file for you to download, kick back with your favorite beverage, and just read and enjoy the threats of game emulation to developers. Are you worried enough? And while they didn't really focus a lot on like retro gaming emulation, they talked more so about how it's detrimental for Nintendo Switch games being emulated on PC. And it is kind of crazy. Before Tears of the Kingdom officially was released, people were emulating the game. And yeah, that's kind of crazy. But at the same time, you have to wonder. I think with some of these things, like, were these people going to buy the game anyway? Did it really hurt that much? Like, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying that at all. But when you see the numbers like behind Tears of the Kingdom, they've sold nearly probably over 20 million. I don't know because the numbers haven't been updated. But the first 2 months, they sold almost 19 million copies of the game. Did the early leaks of the game and the emulation, did that have a detrimental effect on the sales of the game? I have a feeling like those people who emulated it weren't going to buy it anyway. Because if you're really like such a big fan, you want to see the game continue its success and move forward and continually get new games and that IP. You buy those games you're interested in. So while I can't say everybody who downloaded it, if it wasn't available to download, they wouldn't have bought it. But I think a good number of them just they weren't going to buy it anyway, type of thing. And I think that's how it is with a lot of games. But yeah, companies definitely they don't want their games being downloaded and emulated for free when it's first released. But with Denuvo, it's just there's been such a detrimental effect behind it, and it's not fear mongering or propaganda like how their little PDF was. It's truth where it's been proven in the past that some games, a lot of games that have this Denuvo DRM, have performance issues, just things like that, and people don't want to deal with it. Even some developers have brought that up, like, yeah, this game's performance was hindered due to this DRM. It's a fact. It's out there. But these fools they're thrilled to announce this, actually. They just put out that their top tier protection technologies are officially accessible as authorized Nintendo Switch middleware on the developer portal. So we'll go ahead and take a look at their little article here real quick, because there's not a lot to it. But it's really about, like, not people necessarily pirating the games and playing it on the Switch. It's more so like, hey, preventing the games from being dumped and then emulated, however they're going to go about that. But then that problem is like, if it causes performance issues, which we've seen with this aging hardware, some games are already having performance issues. So without DRM, so throw Denuvo into the mix, are games going to suffer because of that? I don't know, man. Like, just the way like Denuvo is implemented sometimes, or DRM in general. Like, if I buy a game and it's not like an online only game, I don't want to have an online check. I don't want to have anything hindering anything. Anything that could possibly cause me to not play the game is boo-boo-ness. So I guess we'll have to see who utilizes this and who puts this in their games. Is it's not just because it's available doesn't mean every developer is going to use it. I'm curious to see if Nintendo's going to use this, but let's take a quick look. The Nintendo Developer Portal offers documentation tools and other useful materials for the development of software for Nintendo consoles. Denuvo is the first security partner added to the portal, where developers are now able to access the Nintendo Switch emulator protection, a revolutionary technology to protect games launching on Nintendo Switch from piracy. Even if a game is protected against piracy on its PC version, the version released on Nintendo Switch can be emulated from day one and played on PC, therefore bypassing the strong protections offered on the PC version. This can happen with any of the numerous games available on the Switch. By blocking unauthorized emulation on PC, studios are able to increase their revenue during the game launch window. I wonder, these are just thoughts. Like, I don't personally play games for the Nintendo Switch via emulation. I've messed with it for purpose of videos, but if it's a game I want, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, I buy it. I don't emulate it. I won't play it emulated. That's just me. I've been very upfront with that. If it's currently available, the console's within its life cycle, I'm not downloading and emulating games. That's just the way it goes, or hacking my system type of thing. But with those 18.5, 19 million copies sold, Like, if it wasn't available, if it had Denuvo and it couldn't be emulated on day one, how many of those people would have bought a copy? I don't know if there's any way to even know for sure. There's no way, because some people will say, like what I said earlier, like, I wouldn't have bought it anyway. And who the hell knows? And maybe they would have. I mean, there's no way of knowing. If it wasn't available to be emulated, maybe they would have been pressured into buying it. But how many people was that, right? I think for the most part, like, emulation, as far as current stuff goes with the Switch mostly, it's a problem for Nintendo. Like, they don't like that. I get it, but how much of a hindrance is it to the bottom line? Because, most people I think who play Nintendo Switch games, probably 99.9% of them are not doing what they're talking about. It's got to be a very small percentage. So by blocking unauthorized emulation on PC, studios are able to increase their revenue during the launch window, which is the most important period. Nintendo Switch emulator protection will ensure that anyone wishing to play the game has to buy it. You have to buy a legitimate copy. As with all other Denuvo solutions, the technology integrates seamlessly into the build tool chain with no impact on the gaming experience. Yeah, they've said that before, but it's been proven otherwise, right? It then allows for the assertion of checks into the code which blocks gameplay in emulators. If there's a will, there's a way. People will figure this out and be able to, bypass that kind of stuff. It'll be cracked. But yeah, so they go on to say, as gamers, we know firsthand how piracy negatively affects the gaming industry. Well, we're thrilled to be a part of the Nintendo Developer Portal so they can make money. It's not going to be a free tool, right? Like, that's what they do. They sell this tool. They license it or whatever. So we could provide the latest technologies to help fight this issue for Nintendo Switch players and developers. Is it an issue for the players? I don't freaking know. We witness an increasing need to protect against emulation on PC from game launch. Our solution is a must-have for publishers to monetize the games fairly on this platform and also not impact PC game sales. Denuvo's at the storefront of game security with over 2 billion unique game installs protected across all platforms and over 1,000 games secured. Typically, Denuvo gets cracked after a while, but I think it's more so like, hey, the launch window, as long as you get your sales, yeah, maybe eventually it'll get cracked, but at least you got your launch window sales, right? So there's that. I'm not against the company wanting to, sell their game. Like, I'm not against that. There's a lot of indie releases on the Switch, a lot of smaller developers. I'm not against them wanting to protect what's theirs and get those game sales. I'm not against that. But it's the implementation of things like this where it's been shown before where it does hinder game performance. And we don't know if this is going to be the same thing. We'll have to wait and see. And it's just a weird thing. Like, hopefully not too many developers are like, yeah, we need to use this. There's developers out there who are against Denuvo. And then there's ones who'll just blindly use it because they think it's going to get them more sales. At that point, it could wind up turning into a thing where it decreases their sales because there's going to be a percentage of people who are like, Denuvo? Nope, not buying that game. I mean, I guess, there's a stigma behind it, but then there's kind of those two sides. Just let me know what you guys think. I just wanted to talk about this real quick, kind of a follow-up on my video from earlier this year about the fear-mongering propaganda about anti-emulation. Appreciate y'all. Bye.